Welcome, everyone. This is our life crafting moment. So glad that you found a way to join with us today. Howard Sambol is going to masterfully lead us on this trail of how do we craft our own lives. My name is Leah LaChapelle, and I have the honor of being our MC today. A little bit about myself before we tell you about Howard. I am a 5D messenger. I am an author. I've written 4 books, starting my 5th one. And I am a community facilitator and a Me and 5D awakening coach.
Wow.
So I have known Howard for quite a long time. And we go back, back in the day, there was such a thing called internet radio. That's what we called it. And of course, now we know them as podcasts. But back in the day, it was quite a good production. And Howard was good enough to come on as my Freedom Friday guest. And so we had a lot of fun, and I got to probe into what he really thinks about the world and how it works and what's possible for all of us. The thing I want to really underscore about Howard is that he has a solid philosophy, and he is passionate about sharing this philosophy. It's a consistent philosophy. So it's not just on off. It is rock solid. I want to encourage us, which is my role here today, is to encourage all of us to really lean in to this energy and this teaching. It's not an accident that you're here, that we discovered before we started the recording. It's not an accident who is here among us, whether you're listening live and participating that way or from the replay. So welcome to everyone. This is your time to decide. This is up to you. Do you want to just take this like a little entertainment venue, or do you really want to take it on? It's up to you, totally. Howard's not going to force anyone, but he's going to be pretty enrolling. I want to warn you. He has a reason for everything, all right? So I'm here to really take it on. I want to encourage all of us to do likewise. As I said, Howard is passionate. And if you know Howard, you already know about that. I would like to do just a little housekeeping for our recording session here. Let's dispense with all the distractions, music and whatnot, because we want everybody to be 100% present. Please take notes, because there's going to be a time for us to be able to pose our questions. And so just jot down your notes. We're going to keep everybody muted. I want to thank Cynthia for helping with all of that technicality and the chat. Thank you, Cynthia. And so there's something else too, because we have so much information available to us at all times. There could be this tendency of, I already know all that. I've heard it before. But I would like to invite us to turn a corner on that. Let's go on an upward spiral. Let's make room for a new approach and let it in today. All right, this is a great opportunity to do that. All right, so feel free to post any of your comments in the chat. Sometimes you just can't hold back. You just have to do that. It's going to be an interactive webinar. Howard is in charge of all of that. And there's going to be an opportunity. This is really fun, you guys. This is really fun. There's going to be an opportunity to get questions answered from the universe. All right, so Howard is going to help us get honest with ourselves. That's not that easy to do. Sometimes we need some help. So Howard is here to help. He's going to help us to align with what we say are our priorities. We say a lot of things, but he's going to be, I said passionate. Some people might call it relentless, okay? And passionate, definitely. Howard's been doing this work for a very long time, everyone. He has proven character. He believes what he teaches, and it has worked for him. And so he is passionate about helping other people do likewise. So I'm very grateful for Howard Sambol. And it's lifecraftingprogram.com. He also has a Facebook group. I encourage you to join in that. You know, we love that kind of company, right? And something else, he also has a YouTube channel, so feel free to go there. He can probably tell you how to get that.
Well, we'll give you the links. We'll give you the links to those things later.
Okay, links coming up, everyone. Links coming up. He doesn't let anything slip past him. Okay. And so Howard is coming at us from California. I'm here in Austin, Texas. And so I'm very excited to hear what he is going to help us with today to know how to gain more out of living our lives and how to craft that really in every area of our lives. What he is really interested in, what he's going to be pointing us to, is how to make your passion work for you financially. So thank you so much, Howard Sambol.
All right. Thank you so much, Leah. I am going to share my screen here. So our title for today is Money, Love, and Purpose, Your Personal Forecast with the Magic of the Astro Dice. Now, there are two major parts to our event today. One is going to be conceptual and practical with a lot of real important data. The second part of it is going to be what I call experiential. That means that we're going to be working personally with each of you with your questions, with your personal questions and the areas where you would like guidance from spirit, from the universe, from God, however word that you'd like to use with that. And in my opinion, I believe that the personal interactive segment is the most important part, but we're obviously going to dovetail the two together. So let's move forward and let's look at the promises of our webinar. First of all, keys to increasing cash flow and expanding financial freedom. Create and sustain an empowering support system that propels you forward on your path. Get answers to your personal questions regarding money, career, love, future, happiness, any area of your life that is important. And finally, 5 secrets for tapping into your intuition, divine guidance, and unique genius. These are the promises that were posted on the meetup groups if you're coming here from a meetup group. Okay, who is the webinar for? Well, if you're committed to increasing your income and creating financial stability, security, and freedom, you're definitely in the right place. If you're tired of being alone, disconnected, and want a truly empowering support system, network, community, then we're going to be really diving deep into that. And third, if you want to access higher spiritual knowledge and get personal guidance and answers to your questions, that is going to be a major part of what we do. A little bit about me. Many of you already know this, but I'll cover it quickly. Founder and director of the Life Crafting program. I've devoted 3 decades to guiding people clarify their purpose, passion, unique genius, and then make money doing what they love. I'm an award-winning author of Craft Your Genius Life and Master Astrologer. And the area of focus for me, the greatest area for me of excitement is combining the many life crafting tools to create things that a lot of people think are magic. They're not really magic, but they appear to be magic. And one of them is being able to achieve financial freedom in 2 to 4 years. So if that's something important to you, that is something I am really would be delighted and thrilled to share with you. Okay, a quick review of the core principles. These were all presented in depth in our June event, and I decided to just have a quick slide for reviewing them. One is you're not broken and do not need to be fixed. You're not a victim. You're on your own unique spiritual path, which really cannot be compared to anybody else's. Any sort of comparison is meaningless. The key is recognizing the opportunities that are often hidden in the challenges in disguise, and they're hard to see. The more you become able to see the opportunity in each challenge, that automatically catapults you to a much higher point in your spiritual evolution. The third is the concept of empowerment, which is not generally well known. People use it in various different ways, but not, in my opinion, with a full understanding. It's actually means acting as a catalyst to ignite the already existing power in another, because we never give anybody power. Everybody gets power from the same place. We don't give it to anybody. People plug into universal energy, divine energy, or source energy, and they get their power. But if you are manifesting it and modeling that, other people are able to recognize you're doing it, and then essentially tap into that from the presence of that catalytic presence of the two of you together. The fourth is to keep your taxi job, which means short-term income, and career playground, which is your area of purpose and passion and contribution in the world, to keep those areas in separate containers and use the best strategy for each one, because we have decades of experience proving that when people collapse the two and they lose the distinction, they get into all kinds of difficulties and problems. Okay, so now we have the core review. We're going to dive into the topic of the support system, and we're going to look first at the downside of living life as a lone ranger with no support system. The most common attributes or manifestations of this are being unfocused or scattered, often lacking direction, often with no solid plan and no milestones. You'll see people kind of jumping around, going from here to there, maybe what we call the shiny object syndrome, where they're just off to this, off to that. Oh, maybe I can make more money that way. Oh, this is good. Somebody told me it's a good thing. I'll go do that. Or, oh, there are good jobs in this field. My career advisor said, I mean, and it's scary in a way to think of how many people in our world are living their lives this way, just scattered all over the map and not knowing where they're going. The inability to make important adjustments due to limited feedback, which, to be honest, can lead to a total disaster. The best example I give on this is driving your car off the edge of a cliff and then wondering what happened and why it occurred, because you have no logical explanation. But the reason is you were alone with no feedback. You were not getting input from any other intelligent, caring people. So you were just off doing your own thing. And imagine driving down the freeway in the middle lane, but you have no feedback to tell you that you're in the lane or you're not in the lane. Just imagine the insanity of that, of driving your car and having no bumps to remind you to stay in your lane. That's the craziness of it. The third is no accountability, and being unable to make and keep promises to yourself and others, resulting in limited self-trust and also limited relationships. The foundation of everything in life is trust, whether it's yourself, whether it's with yourself or with others. And how do you build trust or maintain trust? It's only with integrity. It's only keeping promises. It's only through the willingness to make and keep the promises to yourself and others that really allows everything to flourish and everything to grow and expand. You cannot recognize the blind spots or identify and change self-sabotaging patterns. You simply don't see them. And you cannot know what you don't know that you don't know. You cannot, or another way to say it is, you cannot know what you don't know that you don't know. If you know there's something that you don't know, well, you can go out and study it. But if you don't know that there's something to study, there's no way you can get to that thing unless somebody taps him on the shoulder and says, hey, you're missing this thing. You didn't see that thing. You're missing that piece. Well, then you can say, oh, wow, nobody ever told me that. And then you can start to actually look at it. So the blind spots that people live with are just staggering. And oftentimes when we recognize these blind spots, it's shocking to us because sometimes we see them and they're so evident, and yet we see masses of people that are just completely oblivious. So, of course, the sum total of all this is you keep doing the same things and you get the same results and you don't know why. And it leads to greater and greater frustration and eventually resignation, despair, resignation, and feeling like there's just really, really no hope. And I've seen this in so many instances for so long. So now let's look at the flip side. What is life like with an effective and empowering support system? The first thing is you're part of a caring, committed group of people dedicated to supporting you to achieve the success and personal fulfillment you want. I mean, that's astounding. In today's insane world, with how crazy things are on every level, the idea of this is so simple, so fundamental, so needed, so critical to our sanity, to our well-being, to our sanity. And yet people are oblivious. They either believe it's completely possible, impossible. They believe nobody can have this. It's like, I don't know, it's like a pipe dream or something like that. But it's not. It's simple and it's attainable and it's real. You will have clear direction and structure to move forward consistently. That's obviously essential. If you don't have structure, human beings are not designed, are not good at doing things without structure. You, as I said earlier, you have feedback, allowing critical adjustments and course corrections. Think of one area of life, for example, technology or engineering or corporations or major enterprises, and try to imagine something actually working without the ability to make course corrections along the way. It would literally not exist. It literally could not exist. And yet millions upon millions of people live their lives with no course corrections, with no feedback to make an adjustment. Insanity, complete insanity. The ability to make and keep promises with yourself and others so you build powerful alliances, confidence, and momentum. And I want to add a particular point here is that in life crafting, we have a remarkable game. And the game we use in our mastermind programs, and we also are going to be implementing it in other programs very soon. And it's a game which we call the promise game. And it's remarkable because in the promise game, you develop this ability, you develop this skill, but you're never ever feeling down on yourself. You're never feeling defeated, and you're never feeling criticized or judged, no matter where you are, and no matter how many times you quote unquote screw up, because the game is constructed in a way where there are no losers. You cannot lose the game because it has a foundation of compassion, of unconditional love. And within that bubble, you're challenged incrementally to keep creating greater mastery one step at a time. It's remarkable. I mean, we'll get a later time. But we're going to cover, I think, in August. I'm going to devote a chunk of time to talking about the promise game, how it works, how it's foolproof, and how we can literally predict what comes out of it. Okay, the last item here is recognize and eliminate your blind spots, which we touched on before. Specifically, you're identifying your transform, your self-defeating beliefs and emotional patterns. So if you look at the average individual floating around, I don't care how educated they are, I don't care what level of success they have in corporate America, whatever, what you often find is people literally like an emotional pinball machine. What they're doing is boom, 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 react, 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 blind spot, react, 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 with literally no awareness of what is being generated, how their reality is being created from within. The minute you eliminate the blind spots and you can become aware, just aware, all of a sudden, this whole landscape inside of you becomes evident and clear, and then you can navigate precisely from the pattern that is not working for you backwards to the beliefs, creating that pattern and shift the beliefs, transform the beliefs, and have actual proof in your own world, in your own reality, that that is no longer there. And there's another belief in that place, just the same as if you program the computer to take out bugs in the code and you put in new code without the bugs, it would work pretty much the same way. So then the next question we're going to ask, how can you create this kind of empowering support system? Well, if you were to go out on your own, just with a few little tips here, I've given you a few good tips and you can have a few whatever common sense things. But to be truthful and honest, this is not small potatoes. This is not an easy undertaking because it's uncharted territory. Where do you begin? How do you structure this? How do you organize this? It's almost like a full-time job trying to configure it. But what if it was already done for you and it was literally effortless to be able to have that in your life? And that is exactly the case. The Life Hacking Facebook group provides all these benefits of an empowering support system. It costs nothing except your engagement, your sincere engagement, okay? Because nothing happens without engagement, right? I mean, if you don't show up, of course, nothing happens. But if you're sincere and you genuinely care, and if you're consistent in your engagement, well, then magic can happen. So the name of the Facebook group is Craft Your Ideal Business, and you can go and search for that name and join. Or we're also going to give you the URL. So of course you can click directly on the URL. So what are the requirements in this group? As I said, to commit, to engage fully, honestly, consistently, build relationships and support others. In other words, actually act as if it is possible to have real community with caring people who work together and empower each other. To take action with the tools you learn, share results, and stay connected. Question is, are you willing to do this? If yes, enter a support system in the chat. It's just sort of a meaningful declaration on your part. Yes, I want this in my life. Yes, I'm declaring I want this in my life. Okay, so that is the deal there. It's a no-brainer. There's no cost involved, but I can promise you, if you do this and if you engage and if you stay in the conversations that we have, and then look back in 1 month where you are and where you were before, it will blow your mind. The simplicity and the ease with which major leaps can happen just from having a support system that is truly empowering. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the next topic. The URL is in the chat. I'm sure that Cynthia has put it in there. There is an approval required, but if you are in the group here, then of course you're going to automatically be approved. Now we're going to go on to our next topic, which is sustainable cash flow, which is one of the promises we began with. And guess what part one of this is? Part one is to recognize the broken employment system. And this graphic sums it up very quickly. What if I told you that slavery never ended? It was just disguised as employment. As shocking as that statement might be, but it's actually true. Okay, so, okay. Question, have you experienced frustration with the universe of employment, any aspect, jobs, interviews, resumes, corporations, and any aspect of it? Like, you typical thing, a horror story you hear, revising your resume 20 times, and then you submit it, and there's 500 people applying for a job, and it gets, 8 seconds of attention. I mean, this is the world, this is the insane world of it. Okay. So next question. Would you like to learn a powerful yet little known alternative to this outdated and horrific system? And if the answer is yes, are you willing to maintain an open mind and shift some of your ingrained beliefs about the world of work and money? Okay. So this is a tricky area because we live our lives with so many unconscious beliefs that are what we call transparent, which means they're invisible to us. We could have 1,000 transparent beliefs about work and money and have no idea whatsoever that we're living with that programming, with that internal programming. But the minute we start to shed a light on it, we just start to notice it and see it, all of a sudden it's remarkable because like being in this very, very dark dungeon that we've never really entered, that's way, way down deep in the ground. We don't know what's there, but we finally get down there with a big, bright flashlight, and we notice all these incredible things that we can change, but we never knew they were there. So we had no idea that they even needed to be changed, right? So this is the gentle, loving, but deliberate act of peeling the onion down and noticing with love, noticing these beliefs with precision, not just in some vague way, but with actual precision, knowing the exact beliefs that cause the result to happen in almost an exact kind of way, and then shifting back to shift the belief. Because what is a belief really? A belief is an energy. It's like a stored energy that lives in our body. And yes, we often have language associated with it, but keep in mind that when beliefs are formed, when you're very, very young and beliefs are formed, they often happen at a pre-verbal level. So actually, in truth, the belief doesn't have real language to it. The language is added later. It's more that the very young child reacts to something in its environment and it goes, that's not safe, so I won't do that again. And that's stored as an energy field. And then later in life, words or language are added to it. Like, for example, a dad who says to his son, life is hard. You need to make the best of it. And the father thinks he's helping his son be realistic and live a good life with what is available. And he keeps repeating and repeating, son, life is hard, and you just have to make the best of it. And this keeps seeping in and seeping in. But it's a dad who's very loving and very well-meaning and has no clue that he's programming his son for limitation. Now we fast forward to age 40, and this young boy is now a man, and he's struggling everywhere, and he doesn't know why. Why am I struggling with everything? Right? Does somebody have a curse out for me or something like that? Because nobody takes him by the shoulders and shakes him and says, "You have a limiting belief. Wake up from the trance." But now we have the tools at age 24 or 34 or 44 or 64 or 74, any age, we have the tools to peel that onion down and to see those beliefs. Okay, so how do you change this? How do you shift this completely around? Well, that is part two, the free agent economy recipe. Step one is to break free from the employment paradigm and embrace the free agent economy and marketplace. And I want to give a concrete example of this. So this is very real for everybody, because while we have hundreds of millions of people getting jobs and working for corporations and doing all the normal things, and we live in this illusion that that's all there is in the world, jobs and money and corporations, jobs and monies and corporations, and resumes and interviews, and it goes on and on and on and on. It's endless. And we believe that that's all there is, when in fact, there's a whole other universe on planet Earth that has been going on for the last 20 to 30 years at least, that has nothing to do with resumes and nothing to do with interviews and nothing to do with corporations or HR departments. It's a housewife in London who has a particular skill, and she reaches out over the internet and she founds a little company in Chicago who really needs that little ability that she has, and they strike up a little conversation and boom, they now have a profitable alliance where that woman is now working for that company and she has a good sustained income and they love her and she loves them and it's great. Or an 18-year-old kid who fiddled around with his computer when he was in high school and he learned a few different really cool programming techniques, maybe because he liked video games. And so he found some company in Atlanta who needs that skill and that ability. Why? Because he learned how to go out there and communicate, and connect, and ask questions and say, I'm good at this, I've done this, and this is my ability, and this is my talent, and begin that communication and that alliance. That's the magic. Now multiply that by 100,000 or 100 million, and you have the free agent economy. Now, here's an example of an entire industry completely based on this single concept. In the Philippines, we have what's called the virtual assistant. Many of you have heard the term. Typically, women in their early mid-20s or early 30s who've learned a lot of technology. They have wonderful people skills. They speak English, but their economy is very, very depressed. That means if they form an alliance with a company in North America, the disparity in income level is staggering. It's staggering. In other words, the American company can pay that virtual assistant a small percentage of what they would have to pay for somebody in the US. And meanwhile, that much reduced salary is huge amount of money to the person in the Philippines, right? Well, this is an industry. This is not some small little cottage thing. This is a monumental industry that has already existed for 20 plus years between the Philippines and North America. And you find this disparity in every situation where there's an economic gap, where there's people having a great skill in one arena, but because of the economics, they're able to form profitable alliances that work for both sides. And of course, that has carried over to many other places in the world, not just the Philippines. What is the key to all this, to making this happen? It's identifying your unique gifts and determine your real marketplace value. Now, it's easy to say marketplace value, but you know what? If you've been an employee most or all of your life, the chances are pretty good that you have no clue about your marketplace value. Why is that? Because you've been, as an employee, you've been in what we call a task orientation. That means, do the task make money? Do the task make money? You have no conception of the purpose or actual real value that you're delivering. Now, to illustrate this point, how often do you see situations where a high-level employee in a corporation maybe at a senior level with a master's degree in IT, where the company decides, oh, it's just too much money, we can't really pay this person anymore, so they lay them off. They decide to hire a kid out of college to save all this money, and then 3 months later, they're at their wits' end because the young kid out of college can't even begin to do what the serious professional could do before. So what do? They go back to the guy they laid off, but now they hire him back as a contractor or a consultant and pay him twice the amount of money that they paid him as an employee. Why? Because they're paying him his real marketplace value, right? Because he doesn't need them anymore. They need him, right? And so as you start to realize marketplace value, but you have to break out of that paradigm of employment in order to get it. So in this sustainable cash flow recipe system, you make connections, you build alliances, you communicate about yourself in an effective, compelling manner. You do not write resumes, you do not send out resumes, and you do not seek jobs. In fact, I teach people to write a letter of introduction where they say in the very first sentence, I am not seeking a job, right away, dead right out the beginning. So if the person doesn't want to read further, good, then they don't read further. But if they're like, why is this person telling me that they don't want a job? Because they want a real relationship that's profitable on both ends. Okay. So, and of course, we come back to beliefs again. Transform limiting beliefs about yourself, about money and income. Expand your world to embrace the extraordinary, to embrace the extraordinary. It's all ultimately about your beliefs, your patterns, your communication, and your ability to create meaningful relationships in the global marketplace. That's where it comes down to. Now, boom. What do we have for you? A gift. We have an opportunity to double your income in 90 days, which is part of the Cash Flow Freedom course. So this is something I've recently developed. We've had our Cash Flow Freedom course for a while, but I just realized recently we needed to up the ante, and we needed to play this out on a more bold, on a higher, more bold level. So I've come up with this idea, which is the game of doubling your income in 90 days. Now, you can do the Cash Flow Freedom course. I'll explain to you how in a moment, how simple it is and how amazing it is. But then within the course itself, you will have the opportunity to make a special agreement with me where it's a pact, basically an agreement and a pact, and a promise and a challenge, which I will explain, about how you can really commit and go full out to doubling your income in 90 days. All right, so what is the Cash Flow Freedom course? The Cash Flow Freedom course will empower you to achieve financial self-sufficiency and unshakable confidence by leveraging, keyword, your skills and greatest value in the global marketplace. Now, the URL is there, lifecraftingprogram.com/CFF. Okay, but don't go there now, please. Just capture the URL and go there later, and you will see a 5-minute video there on that page, which is really, really cool. Okay, so what happens in the course? Well, as you may already guess from what I've been saying, you identify your marketables, you identify your value in the marketplace, you identify and you create profitable alliances, with solid income. If you knew that you had something extraordinarily valuable that was in demand, in serious demand, would you ever question again your ability to make sufficient income to be comfortable and to cover your needs and of course you wouldn't. It's only the doubt, do I have something really worthwhile? Does anybody actually really want what I have, that creates this gap between what is real inside of you and what is possible in the world in terms of alliances. The program works because of manageable baby steps, which each of them seems very, very innocent by itself. Seems like nothing, you know? But when you combine them, this is the magic of baby steps. When you combine them in a precise way, after you get to 8, 9, 10 baby steps and you put them together, all of a sudden you have something profound because those baby steps have added up to something huge. And the coaches and the community in the course will help you every step of the way. So there's no such thing as being stuck and, oh, I don't know, and I can't do it, and oh, I guess I have to give up. You know, no, we don't have any of that. As I said earlier, this is an empowering community. We're committed to each other, and we work through whatever obstacles are really there. We transform the limiting beliefs, and you build unshakable confidence to craft your desired future. And finally, you learn about the explosive global revolution now taking place with Bitcoin and how you can use it to change your financial life forever. And here's where I'm going to give you a little secret, which may not be a secret, perhaps depending on what your awareness is. But all forms of money in the world today, whether it's the dollar, the euro, the Swiss franc, the yen, doesn't matter what the money is. These are all what we commonly refer to as fiat, F-I-A-T, fiat currencies. And they're all on the verge of complete collapse. There's governments printing money into oblivion, creating endless inflation. This is not new news. It's been around for quite some time, but we're now at the end game. We're now at the point where we are right there and we're, you know, it's in our face, and this is happening literally before our eyes. But it's not going to be on the front page of the New York Times where you're going to see a warning. Oh, by the way, this Thursday, the dollar will be dead and there will be you can no longer able to use the US dollar. It's not going to happen that way. So you will learn, and you can learn through all of our information that I'm happy to share with you, why Bitcoin is the only form of money which has a fixed supply and exponentially increasing demand, cannot be corrupted or controlled or manipulated or debased or inflated by any individual, government, or bank in the world. And global adoption has already progressed beyond the point of no return. So it's a mathematical inevitability. But because of fixed supply and exponential demand, you can mathematically predict the value of where Bitcoin will be 6 months, a year, 2 years, and you can look at the graph and you can see the pattern, and it's not really like a matter of theory any longer. So if you want to include this strategy, which is extraordinary, you can bring in this particular strategy with everything else we're doing so that you have a synergy where one thing affects the other, which affects the other, and they all converge together to an extraordinary outcome. Okay, now let's go back to our Cash Flow Freedom course, Double Your Income in 90 Days. There are 2 ways of participating. One is via a monthly subscription, which is just $79 per month. There's no minimal or maximum amount of time that you can be involved. You can be in 1 month, you can be in 20 months or 50 months. If you want to do it this way, then it's automatic. You know, you sign up and the subscription is automatic. The second way, though, is with a single payment for a lifetime membership of $7.95. Now, if you're able to do it, I encourage you to do the $7.95 because it's a fixed amount. There will never be any additional payments required, and you'll get full access, you know, indefinitely for as long as you want, with all the support and the coaching that you want. But on the other hand, if that's not realistic for you right now, you can do this 79, but you can do it, say, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, until you reach that stage where the $7.95 is possible, so that your limiting your course factor. Now let's move on with there are 3 women here that have worked with me. And what I did here in these little stories, these little testimonials, is I highlighted some of the wording. On the first one, Kathy McCommon, she's also a Texas lady, by the way. She actually wrote double my income, which was one of the outcomes for her. That was really cool. And then with Neetu Bhandari, brilliant woman, absolutely brilliant woman. She was able to get her life purpose at a deep personal, emotional level, which was totally life changing. And then with Rhonda, who's an Australian lady, a very, very fun, amazing, creative gal, she was able to increase her enrollments and get more clients, which of course vastly opened the door to greater income for her. So now let's talk about the 2 critical aspects of the Cash Flow Freedom course. There's the promise and the challenge. The promise is basically this: if after 90 days you have not doubled your income, you can apply for a refund of your 3 months in the program. So you will get a complete refund, but it's not automatic. In other words, there are requirements. There's an agreement involved and there are requirements. So the requirements are what we call the challenge. To be eligible for a refund, you need to complete and submit all assignments on schedule, and details are provided in an agreement. Now, once again, to emphasize, you do not need to do this challenge unless you want to. You can be in the program however you choose to. It's completely fine. And go at a pace that's comfortable for you. But if you want to up the ante and you want to really challenge yourself, you can play full out for 90 days and see how this plays itself out. But in order to get the refund, you need to complete, everything on schedule. So there is a challenge involved. And the only downside of the refund is that if you do get your refund, you are removed from the program. And if you're making a lot of really good progress, you may say to yourself, well, it's not worth getting a refund for 3 months if now I'm not able to continue moving forward with all the tools I'm learning. So that's a personal decision, and I'm happy to help in any way. I'm not concerned. You can play it out however you want to. Now, if you're ready for the challenge, sign up today. Here's the link. You had it before. If you're not sure what to do, maybe you're not sure that's the right program for you, or maybe you have a very unique situation that you want to really discuss, you can schedule a clarity session with me, a no cost clarity session. Here's the link for doing it, and we'll have that in the chat as well. Or you can scan the QR code here in order to do that. So in either case, in either way, it's completely your choice. You've got all these options. If you know what's best, go for it. If you're not sure, meet with me and I'll help you figure out really what is best. So what is a clarity session? It's a one-to-one session where you and I work together to determine the most important next step, whether it's cash flow, career, life purpose, like direction, confidence, self-awareness, financial freedom, or spiritual development and access. So in other words, it's fair game, and we can delve into any area that really is important for you. Okay, so that completes this whole segment, our event tonight. And now we're gonna shift gears in a big way to personal questions with the Astro Dice. And before I talk about Astro Dice and how they work and what they are, I would like everybody to just take a moment and just close your eyes and move your attention from your head space where you've been doing a lot of thinking and analysis. Bring your attention down into your body and just feel your body and feel your feelings and feel your heart, and consciously open yourself to your intuitive feeling center. Open that up, because that is really what we want to access at this point. That is the channel or the avenue through which spirit speaks to us and it connects to us. And by opening that up, we allow that level and that channel of communication to occur. Okay. Now, what are Astro Dice? Well, you can see them, the picture. There are three 12-sided cubes. One has the symbol of the planets, and one has the zodiac symbols, and one has the numbers from 1 through 12. And the way they work, you simply rub them up in your hand. You think of a question of what you'd like to know. You roll the dice. You get three symbols. I will tell you what the symbols mean individually, and then we put them all together to get the answer to your question. So now take a moment and ask yourself, what's the most important thing that I want to know right now? Maybe something that's been bugging me or puzzling me for a time that I can't seem to quite figure out. And then whatever that is, go ahead and write that down. You're going to, in a moment, you're going to have the opportunity to ask your question and get a personal answer and guidance on your unique situation. Our aim here is to open a doorway, not only to give you one answer to one question, but to open a doorway for you so you can begin to do this for yourself. You can begin to know how to access the answers within yourself, creating that connection, that total continuous, never stopping connection between you and the universe that is there 24/7. And all you need to do is drop in, feel it, access it, trust it, and begin to create that conversation where you know that you're always seen, you're always loved, and you're always guided. And you simply need to ask to get the information you want. So that is sort of a frame we're going to go in here. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn my screen share off, but I want to make one request here. And the request is to, if whatever you want to ask the Astro Dice, please stay on camera and stay unmuted so that you and I can dialogue face to face, because that changes everything. It makes the whole energy, accessible. When a person, just types words in a chat, it's very, very difficult to feel the energy of that. Okay, but you guys are already on camera, so I'm not worried about it. People here don't seem to be camera shy. Okay, so let's get started. Who would like to begin? We can start anywhere, and we have time because it's only a little after the hour. We have plenty of time. You can all get opportunity to ask questions. Whoever wants to begin can begin.
Well, I guess I'll start.
Okay, why not? Why not?
So my name's Majesty. I live in Marlton, New Jersey. And my question is, I'm interested in starting a side business, but I work full time and I like what I do, but it uses a lot of my mental energy. And I'm thinking of having my side business continue as what I'm doing now, but I find, even in my limited free time, it's not even necessarily a lack of time, it's the lack of energy because my job takes up all of my energy. And then to think about coding after hours, that's hard.
Yes. Yeah, Majesty, would it be okay with you if I give you some input to your situation before we ask the Astro Dice about it? Would that be okay?
Oh, sure.
Okay, good. Do you remember the distinction that we have in life for everything between taxi, job, and career playground? Do you know what that is? Okay. So whenever you talk about doing something professionally for money, you have to identify where does it live, in what bucket or in what container. In other words, if you want to make money in some sort of freelance project, so you're on your own independently, but it's still part of your taxi job. You want to be very, very clear that that's where it belongs and not have any confusion about that. On the other hand, if you are really interested in clarifying your career playground, that's a whole other game, complete other game. And it's not something which is a slam dunk where you're just going to pick something and say, oh, that's my playground, then I'm going to do it, because that's based on what we call life purpose, which is a very deep inner knowing about why you're here. So I would say my gut feeling is that it's still part of your taxi, but you want to be more free, more independent, make more money, and be less stressed in your day-to-day life, right? Okay.
Yes.
So for you, the Cash for Freedom course would be brilliant because it would allow you to begin that whole journey of transitioning from the salaried employment to the freelance, and do it in a way so it's not stressful, and do it in a way so you don't really have to worry about this energy that you're, you know what I mean, this energy issue that you're concerned with. Because if you do it in a good way with the baby step method that I alluded to, a series of baby steps, you always have time and energy for a baby step, always, right? You
Yes.
just don't realize that when you do 2 baby steps, you've already done a whole lot more than baby steps. You see what I mean?
Yes.
It's very innocent. I call it innocent, but not insignificant. If you get my intention. Okay. Well, what is your birthday?
April 21st.
Oh, you're an early Taurus, just like me.
Oh.
I'm April 27.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. So being an early Taurus, you're very grounded, very down to earth, very practical, but also very creative. And it's not uncommon at all for especially women Tauruses to have like a web design business, because you're bringing together the creative element with the technical and the practical. So you see how all those beautiful skill sets interweave with each other, right?
Right.
Well, it's a matter of knowing how to package and speak about your talent and gifts to the right people in the right way, to where so they will grab you up and pay you what you're really worth
Mhm.
in that global marketplace that we've been speaking about. Okay. So now that I've explained that, and you already knew that already, but I just wanted to make sure. Now we can ask the Astro Dice. So now go ahead and say what your question is for the Astro Dice.
Well, the same question that I already
Well,
asked,
you
or
can be it can be the same, or it could be whatever, or it could be whatever you want, but make sure that it's a very clear. I want to encourage you to make it a very clear and specific question, because the dice will do much better with clear and specific than very general or vague things.
okay, how can I start transitioning into my side business with a full-time job and with limited time and limited energy left over for it?
Okay, excellent, excellent. That's perfect. Perfect. Just stay with that and give me a moment to feel into that. Okay, so I'm going to tell you the 3 symbols that you got on the dice, and then I'm going to put them together to give you your answer. All right.
Okay.
The symbols are Venus, Aries, and the number 4. Okay, Venus, Aries, 4. You may know a little bit about the symbols, which is fine. Venus, it means to enjoy and appreciate something. To enjoy and appreciate. And the sign of Aries is a very go-getter. It's a very proactive and very go-getter energy. It's like it's a no holds bars driven, go for it, no, no foot on the brake, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But then you have the 4 though. The 4 is security. It's security and safety security element. So what this says to me is that the dice are wanting you to go for it, but with attention, with sufficient attention paid to those foundational things in your life that are important for you. on an emotional, on an emotional and an environmental level with home, family, well-being, energy. So it's being able to combine these qualities together, okay? And in ways where you don't disrupt that foundation of security and safety in your life, and yet you're going full speed towards what you want without compromising either one of those. Get the idea?
Yes.
And it's okay if right now you don't know what that looks like or you don't know how you would implement it. That's fine, because that's exactly what we teach is, helping people take those exact steps to be able to put those things in place.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, so I suggest that we work together on this, and I don't see any problem at all in you being able to do this in 90 days or probably less than that. That's
Okay.
that's my gut feeling. And then once you have this and you're making really good money and you're secure and you're no longer stressed, then you can focus on your playground. Then you can go, you know what I mean? Then you can focus on your playground and achieve financial freedom so that you don't need to worry about money ever again. And you can just do what you love.
Oh, we would all love that.
Do you know the time you were born?
Um, yes, I do.
So you said
I don't really want to give out the year I
Oh,
was
no.
born.
Don't worry about any of that. You don't need to do that. We'll talk. We'll talk and we'll figure it out. Okay?
Okay.
And no worries. That was an excellent, perfect Astro Dice. Okay, who's the next? Oh, Susie's here. Hi, Susie. Susie from Canada.
Hi, sorry I'm late. I
Oh,
you
no,
know
that's okay. That's okay. So are you still way up north?
yeah, for the moment.
Okay. No, I listen, I only ask because to me it's a novel thing, and I think it shows a lot of, I don't know, courage or whatever. So I think of it as a real I don't know, like a courageous thing for you.
Yeah, it is. It is. I had an opportunity to get a cottage on the ocean in June, and I didn't feel that I couldn't quite master the timing, and now I have a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
regret. Like that would have been awesome. But
Can you share with people where you actually live? I think they would be amazed.
sure, yeah, I live in Whitehorse, Yukon, which is next door to Alaska. I don't know, has anybody been here? We're far, far away. We're 1,800 miles north of Vancouver, whereas Los Angeles is 1,800 miles south.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've known Susie for a pretty long time, or at least 5 or 6 years, right?
Closer to 10 almost, Howard.
Or maybe
Yeah.
10. Yeah, yeah, very, very good. Well, listen, great news. I know you came in a little bit late on a presentation, but everything's recorded, so you don't have to worry. You'll be able to see the replay and get caught up with everything. But then you came in on the best part of all. You came in with the Astro Dice, so you're in the perfect time.
Well, did everybody else get their Astro Dice done and I
Oh,
missed
no,
it?
no, we just got started. We just
Oh,
got
perfect.
started. Do you want to go next?
Sure, sure. I'll just dive right in.
Okay, yeah. Why don't you dive in and tell us what your question is?
Oh, golly. Um,
You know me. I always help. Remember, I always help with the questions, right? To get the wording, to help with the wording, so make the wording optimum. Yeah.
okay, good. Thank you. Because I don't really know I have so many questions right now. Nothing's working. So,
Okay, so why don't you think of it this way, Susie? Think of it as dominoes, where when you knock one domino over and it knocks all the other dominoes over. So think of what would be the one domino, which if you knocked it over, it would knock over all the other ones. And just take a few minutes and think about that. I'll go to somebody else, then I'll
thank
come
you.
back to you. And we'll
Okay.
see if we can figure out what the magic domino is. All right?
Okay, thanks.
Okay, very good. Who would like to go? Who would like to go next? Ah, Francoise. Okay, good.
Hi, Majesty. I just wanted to let you know that thank God you asked a question because I'm in, I understand it very well. And then also, I'm not a Taurus like the YouTube, but my ascendant is Taurus.
Mm,
I related to you.
yes, yes,
it
yes,
can-
yes. Francoise is an Aries with a Taurus rising.
Aquarius.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sorry,
Oh,
Aquarius with an Aries. I'm sorry, Aquarius with an Aries moon, Taurus rising. Yeah.
so my question, I don't know if that's a good question, but I trust you, Howard. What I wanted to ask is, what is it that I need to understand about my current situation?
When you say current situation, are you referring,
My
yeah,
professional,
from your
environment.
current
Yeah.
job situation?
Yes. What is it that, I didn't want to put in negative in the sense of what
No,
is it
that's
that
okay.
I'm not seeing that I should see better?
Okay, let's look at it. Let's look at it a little bit closer. So, what is most important for me to understand about my current situation that would really empower me to move forward? Would that be okay?
Perfect. I knew it.
Okay. Okay, very good. So excellent. So say the whole question out loud in your own words, because then it will have your own, you know what I mean, your own energy to
What
it.
I want to know is what is it that I need to understand about my current situation so I have some more clarity about what to do next.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, good. All right, very wonderful. Wow. That's cool. It's not surprising to me though. I mean, you get these answers, but okay. So the three symbols that you got were Uranus, Gemini, and 4. Uranus, Gemini, 4. Okay. And as usual, I'll give you each of the symbols. I'll explain each symbol and then we'll put it all together. All right. So Uranus is the planet of disruptive. It's disruptive, but it's disruptive in a creative way. It's those situations in life where God rattles our cage and it's very stressful and we want everything to be calm and be calm and peaceful. But then when we look deeper, we realize that God's the one rattling our cage because she wants us to be aware and awake beyond the level that we are, wants to see something new that we haven't been seeing. So, but because of you got Gemini, because it's Uranus Gemini 4, what I would say here is that it's not only new or disruptive, but actual information. So, because Gemini refers to information and knowledge, knowledge, and more of a diverse, I would say, diversity and variety. Let's see, diversity, variety, and curiosity. Those are three very important words for Gemini. So break up the game, be disruptive, break up the game, just like break out, look at new situations, look at things that are from a new perspective, bring in new information that you previously did not know or do not know. But then we've got the 4. See, we've got the same 4 that just a moment ago, then when Majesty got the 4, you got the 4 also, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the 4 signifies, but do it in the context of security. In other words, don't be so disruptive that you drive your car off the edge of the cliff. You know what I mean? It's like be disruptive and look at new situations and look at things through a new lens, but not in a way that is harmful or undermines, not in a way that undermines the security and the foundations you have in place. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So let me remind you of a famous quote of Buckminster Fuller. You may have heard of Buckminster Fuller. Oh, incredible man. We'll talk about that another time. He was a philosopher. He was an engineer. He was a statesman. He was a brilliant man. The geodesic dome, you may have heard of the geodesic dome. Buckminster Fuller was the guy who, and Cynthia just wrote Sacred Geometry. He's
Oh.
the people who got Sacred Geometry and the geodesic dome. Anyway, one of the things that one of the famous quotations from Buckminster Fuller is, when you want to bring about change in society, don't try to change an existing system. Create a new system that makes the old one obsolete.
Yeah.
Make a new one that makes the old one obsolete. So let me apply that to your situation to give you an idea of what that would look like. Okay? Suppose you looked at your existing job that you're in and you broke it down in greater depth than you have, and you really were able to identify the genius, the actual real genius of what you're doing there and why they hired you. Because all the superficial reasons that they hired you are not the real reasons that they hired you. You know what I'm getting at? There are deeper reasons. In other words, you bring something to the table that's very unique and very powerful, but has not yet been articulated precisely yet. For all the reasons that I said earlier, because we tend to be so oblivious about our true marketplace value and what problem we're really solving, because you are solving some important problems, but they have not been carefully identified to the extent that they could be. And once you're able to identify those solutions, those problems and solutions, that's when this new thing becomes birth. This new Francoise becomes now alive and awakened, where she now sees her value in the world in a different way, and she recognizes how many other companies would gladly and joyously hire you on your terms to solve the kind of problems that you know how to solve, and recognize your genius in solving those problems. That's the key here. Recognizing your genius and recognizing what is not obvious on the surface, but which, by peeling the onion, we can get to see what those elements are. And we can do that. We can work on that privately and determine that. It's not difficult. Okay?
Oh, good.
Yeah, okay. Okay,
Thank
very
you.
good. It's one of these examples where people who've been, like I said, people who've been employees for a very long time, it's this gigantic blind spot that's really difficult to see. It really is. But once you see it, then you have it and you can't unsee it. You know what I mean? Once you see it, you know it, and then it's part of you forever. So in the example that I gave earlier about the man who was the employee in the corporation, and then they laid him off, but then after 90 days, he discovered his true value. And when he went back to work there, he got paid twice the amount because he knew his true value when he didn't know his true value as an employee. He just didn't know it. But it took him getting laid off and broken out of the existing system in order for him to awaken to that true value. Okay, get the idea? A little bit, right? Okay, yeah, well, you're very smart. You're very, very smart. So you're gonna get, you're gonna get these things for sure. Okay, let's go back. Let's go. Susie, are you ready?
Oh, okay.
Are you ready for a leading domino question?
I think I am. Okay, I'm not sure what the domino is. I don't know if it's to keep charging ahead, trying to get my
If you
coaching.
solve, well, here's the question stated a little bit differently. What's the one problem which, if you could solve it, would pretty much solve all the other problems?
Well, finances.
Okay, so let's focus on that just for a moment, okay? So if you could double your income from monthly income from where you've been over the last, say, couple of years, if you could double your monthly income, would that have an impact on the other dominoes?
Yes.
Can you visualize, how it would affect the other dominoes?
Well, I mean, it would just give me, make me feel like a normal person again, you know, like, yeah.
Right. Well, not only be a normal person, but you'd be better than a normal person. You'd be a normal person with some reserves and, with some financial reserves maybe that you know what I mean, could give you added security, right?
Well, no, that would be awesome. Like, I really have been making no money, and that's where I guess my bottom line question is, should I even continue with coaching or just quit it and just go
Okay,
straight back?
so let's back up a step. Since you came in late, did you by chance see the replay of the June 25th event?
Yes, I did.
You did, okay. Do you remember the section in there on what we call taxi job and career playground?
Yes, and I meant to write you earlier and say that that's the conversation you and I had a year and a half ago.
Right. It's a theme.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a theme, right? Okay.
And
So
but it
would it be
didn't- Sorry, go ahead.
accurate to say that you really need a good solid taxi job? Would that be accurate?
No, because I've been working at it over and over, trying to get the coaching to be my taxi job.
No. Let me,
Oh.
I'm sorry. Let me explain it differently. I'm not calling it a job. Let me explain it differently.
Well,
I'm
no,
talking,
I understand what you're saying.
I'm
and-
just talking about cash flow. I'm not talking about a job. I'm not talking about employment at all.
Me too. Me too. Like, it just hasn't happened. So I've wondered
I-
if maybe I
Okay.
don't need a taxi. Maybe
I
I just need
understand,
to do my
but
calling.
Susie,
Yeah.
what you're saying, if I'm hearing you correctly, is that the efforts that you have been putting in to coaching and trying to make coaching your taxi job, that has not worked for you. No, it's not what you're saying?
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
The
But
coaching has not worked for you, right?
so here's my question.
Yeah.
Maybe all along I didn't need a taxi. I just needed my writing to be it all, to just focus on the one thing, and then the money would have been fine.
Well, what was one other thing in your past? Give an example of one other thing in your path that generated a reasonably steady income for you.
Oh, well, day job at the government did. Yeah.
And how long were you in that job?
Well, I always had a job until 10 years ago. I stopped
10 years
working.
ago. And that amount of money, hold on. That amount of money that you earned in that job for 10 years was pretty sufficient to cover your basic needs.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I'd like for you to consider one possibility, all right? I'd like for you to consider the possibility that the skill sets that you used in that job, I'm not ever advocating that you go back to do anything like that again. So don't worry about it. No,
Yeah, but I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking
I
about it.
understand. No, but I have
did.
something better though. I have something better in mind. Would you like to hear about something better?
Yes.
Okay. So what if you could extract, just stay open. That's all you have to do. Just stay open.
Okay.
You could take the skills that you used in that government job. All right. There were a number of skills you used.
Yeah.
But I don't mean I'm not referring to the awareness level or the understanding of those skills that you have right now in this minute. I'm talking about a much deeper level understanding of the skills that you used in that job and the ability, here's the key, the ability to reach in with your hand into that job and grab those skills in that job and literally yank them out of there, like yank it out, pull it out of that context, of that container, all right, and use those skills in other places where you would be paid money and you would not have the limitations of the government job.
Yeah.
Understand?
I 100%, but that's what I've been attempting to do for a decade. So
I understand, but is it possible? Can I ask a question?
yes,
Is it
I'm not the
possible?
failure, I know.
I know, I understand, but you've been doing this mostly on your own, am I right? So you've been attempting to do this on your own, am I right?
No, I have paid for 20 different coaching programs. So
I
yeah.
understand, and none of them have made the difference. Go ahead, I'm
No,
sorry.
but my
Go ahead.
whole okay, but it's because I'm not meant to just do that. I'm meant to be a creator, a writer, a
I
songwriter.
understand, but here's the problem though, Susie, I'm
Yeah.
with you, I'm 100% with you. But here's the thing though, your creative side of you, which I agree with you 100%, okay?
Yes.
That whole creative side to you, which is your soul, it's your heart, it's your soul, right? It's who you really are inside you. That's not a taxi job. That's your playground. That's the area of your divine expression. And when you combine that with the taxi and you try to do them the same, you will sabotage yourself predictably every time. Taxi and playground do not mix together. You cannot mix them. So you have to keep them in separate containers. This is, my core principle. We've discussed this. So anyway, it's totally okay. You can do this however you want. I'm just giving you the input that I know from 40 years what works well. But if you want to do it your way, by all means, do it your way.
Oh,
You
no,
can right now ask, would you like to ask the Astro Dice a question?
I don't know the question. Like I'm just saying
How about,
that
wait a minute, how about a simple question like, please give me guidance of how to handle my current circumstance? How about just a simple question like that? Would that be okay?
that would be wonderful. Thank you. Yes.
Very easy, very simple. We
Give me
don't need
guidance
anything
on how to handle
complicated, okay? So,
current circumstances.
so say out loud, say the question out loud. Please give me guidance on how to best handle my current situation.
Please give me guidance on how to best handle my current situation.
Beautiful, fantastic, beautiful, wonderful. Okay, just give me a moment, okay? Okay, so I'm going to give you the three symbols like I did before. I'll tell you each of the symbols and what they each individually mean. Okay. And then I'll put them all together and give you the answer. Is that okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So the three symbols are South Node, which the two things in astrology, the North Node and the South Node. You may have heard of those, right? So what you got was South Node Scorpio and then the number 12. South Node Scorpio 12. Okay. So I'm going to tell you what they each mean and we're going to put them together. So South Node in astrology or in particularly with Astro Dice means change direction. It means move in a new direction. Okay. Whereas when you get the North Node, it means continue in your direction. South Node means change direction. All right. So stay with me. Now the Scorpio is deep personal transformation, which involves both the emotional level, both the conceptual level and the emotional level, because Scorpio is a sign of the zodiac, which deals with the inner world, your inner life, your inner world, as well as your intellectual, but your emotional, it's also combined. All right. And then the number 12 is the unconscious spiritual realm. So the dice are focusing and directing you to explore and examine the spiritual realm and to do an internal emotional transformative process to get to resolve the issue that you're currently being challenged with. Okay. If you want me to go over the symbols again, I can. But and what that process is something, of course, to be determined. We can't really do that here and now. I mean, we can do it, of course, privately, but that's what the dice are saying. They're trying real hard to direct you to a new direction based on inner growth, transformation, and your own spiritual essence. That's what they're saying here. Okay. So once again, if you want to, it doesn't matter whether you and I do anything with me, that's not important. You can decide, however, wherever you do, whatever you do. I'm simply giving you the guidance that's coming through. Then you can just determine what's going to be the best way to move forward with that information. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And if you want to comment, if you want to comment on this, by all means, you can share your feeling about it.
So it's basically saying change directions and go deeper inside of myself. And
Direction, go inside yourself and make new discoveries. Break up the old reality that have lived for a long time. Locked in, and break that up and transform that and tap into the spiritual, the guidance and the love and the spiritual guidance that's really there for you. Okay. So yeah, so sit with that and digest that and see where that takes you. Okay, let's move on to somebody who hasn't asked. How about Leah? Leah, you have a question? Leah?
Sure. And I've got people arriving in our home here, so I'm going to
Oh,
need
yeah,
to
that's okay. Well,
go.
we can actually wrap up pretty soon because we've got right, we'll just do one more and then we can wrap up. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So what do I need to do in order to finish my next book by December?
Okay, and you want to ask the Astro Dice that question.
Yes.
Okay, but let me suggest something to you. Before you ask the Astro Dice the question, what is your own answer to the question?
Well, I need to make a promise to myself and keep the promise.
And anything else besides that?
Love what I'm doing.
Anything else besides that?
Oh God, throw the Astro Dice.
I'm just teasing you a little bit because you know
I know you are.
I just want to add, the only thing I want to add is baby steps. I just wanted to add the comment of baby steps.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So if you
I
keep
can do
the
baby
promises
steps.
you make to yourself and take baby steps, right?
Yeah.
And and do something, write about something you love that you truly
Sure.
say in your book.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay, let's ask the Astro Dice now. Say the question out loud again.
What do I need to do to finish my book by December?
Perfect, very good. Okay. All right, so you got Neptune, Taurus 6. Neptune, Taurus 6. All right.
Ooh.
So Neptune is in the intuitive, imaginative, and the intuitive realm. So using a lot of your imagination and your intuition and your visualization, because they're all, and also your inspiration. Let me say, inspiration, imagination, illumination, and intuition, and imagination. Okay, so you've got all of those, right?
Got it.
And then the Taurus in this particular case is the concrete, the pragmatic and the concrete. Okay.
Perfect.
And then the 6 has to do with day-to-day tasks. Day-to-day tasks. So my interpretation of what the dice are saying, use all these higher level faculties that you have in you, but apply them every day. Apply them every day with practicality and precision, every day. In other words, a little baby step every day, and get into a habit a habit every day, because the Taurus and the 6 is practical, and practical task. And then the Neptune is be inspired when you do it. So if you're inspired when you do it, but you're practical every day, you can see how those two things dovetail beautifully, right?
I see it as done. Yes.
You see how fun that can be?
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you,
So-
Howard.
You're very welcome. Now, wasn't all that different from what we were saying earlier, but it did offer a little bit of a twist, a little bit of a different twist to it, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely. This has just been so terrific.
I know, but
I'm
what I
so
always
happy
like,
that,
I love to help people see that they a lot of times know the answer already that they're asking.
yeah, of
Very
course,
frequently, right?
of course.
Okay,
I'm just
so
delighted to have met everybody today, and this has been absolutely
it's been fantastic. I love it. And hopefully we're gonna get a lot of people to watch.
I took notes. Yeah,
Get a lot of people to watch the replay, and we're going to be doing
fantastic.
all of these events in August. We're going to have 2 more similar events in August with lots of Astro Dice and lots of cash flow, the cash flow freedom course, and all of the goodies with that. All right, everyone, have a fantastic night and stay tuned in and join our Facebook group so we can build our community, and we will see you all soon. Good night, everybody.
Good
Thank you.
night.